From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Laban here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Monday night on News Channel 5. Plus, day 3 of Titans training camp, and it was kind of a dud. They put on the pads for the first time, and you could tell there was kind of some jitters out there on the field today. Mike Pollack said after practice it was interesting when he walked into the locker room ahead of practice. There was a lot of excitement, mainly amongst the veterans, who were just ready to go. And then you look over at a lot of the undrafted guys and some of the rookies, and it just seemed like totally nervous, pent up, not really sure what they were about to walk out into. And you saw some of that early in practice today. There were a lot of penalties, some missed alignments, and those sort of things early on. Guys described it as unacceptable early on. Now, they were able to fight through that and get some stuff done later on in practice. I thought the defense looked particularly good today. We've heard a lot throughout the offseason about how much improved this defense should be, and this front seven in particular could be a pretty dominant physical unit. You've got guys on the defensive line who can plug holes, can get after the passer, and then you have this linebacker core now with healthy Brian Arakpo and Derek Morgan. You finally might be able to see what those guys can do as bookend pass rushers. Wesley Woodyard's coming off a good year last year. He was really good again today. One of the first plays of the team period was an end around, and he made a fantastic play to get what would have been a tackle for loss if they allowed him to bring the ball carrier down in the backfield under normal circumstances. It's just a really, really good football play. Avery Williamson continues to grow up in the middle there. So this is a defensive front seven that I think can become pretty good for this team moving forward. And today you saw that. They were disruptive in the backfield. They lined up correctly. They were not having penalties while the offense was struggling at that. So a very, very good day for the defense. A sloppy day for the offense, especially that offensive line, which has to come together. And it's early. This is day 3 of practice, and the first time these guys have put pads on together. And you've got to remember, you've got a bunch of new faces up there. You're going to have a new left guard. You've got a new center in Ben Jones. And then you have a new right tackle in Jack Conklin. I think the frustrating thing is it was a little bit of everybody today when it came to the penalties, and some of them came from guys who are the vets, the guys who are the standard on this offensive line now, Taylor Lewan and Chance Warmack. They both had their issues today at times. They were also good at other times, but they also had some issues today. So that is something that the Titans are going to have to work their way through. Back on the field bright and early tomorrow morning, and talking to several of the guys, especially on the offensive side of the ball. As soon as practice was over, they were basically looking forward to the next opportunity to get on the field because they know they have to improve, and they know today wasn't good enough. 737-7767 is the number. We would love to hear from you. Have you been out so far? 3 days into training camp. All 3 days have been open to the public. Terrific crowds over the weekend. More than 5,000 people attended Saturday and Sunday's practices to kick off the regular season. This morning, very early, you've got some kids back in school in the mid-state now. A lot of people obviously had to go to work. Difficult to have a big draw, but they had a good draw today. Several people waiting in line for Marcus Mariota autograph day. A lot of people out there for that. Saw some Oregon flags, people trying to get the QB's attention, and he signed as many autographs as they would possibly let him today. He's always very good to the fans about that. But have you been out there, and what have your impressions been so far from what you've seen from the Titans through the first 3 days? The big story of training camp, of course, to this point is the addition of Andre Johnson, a guy who, in my opinion, is a surefire Hall of Famer at some point. He's in the top 10 in both catches and yards all time in his NFL career. Just an average season this year would push him into the top 5 pretty much in both categories. He's done some amazing things throughout his career. Last year was the worst year of his career, no question. 13 years in, with Andrew Luck hurt in Indianapolis, he struggled to really gain traction in that offense. So what are the Titans getting? Are they getting Andre Johnson 1.0 that is the best player arguably in Texans franchise history? J.J. Watt's probably going to have something to say about that, but to this point of their careers. Or are they getting a guy who's 35 years old and maybe on the back end of his career or at the end of his career? And what does that mean? The one thing I'll say is I don't think there's any risk here for the Titans. If you're John Robinson and you're looking at this roster, you bring in Andre Johnson. You know what he is. He's a good route runner that catches the football. He's going to be a guy you can target on third downs in the red zone, stuff like that. He'll push guys. He'll be a good leader in the locker room and in the team meeting rooms. You know what you get with him. Right now, the problem with the Titans receiver core is you don't know what you're getting from all of these guys. Kendall Wright last year had a down season. I think we know, though, what he is. Rashard Matthews comes in as a free agent. I think we've got a pretty good idea what he is after a good season last year in Miami. But what are Dorial Green-Beckham and Justin Hunter? Are those guys starters in the NFL? Are they playmakers in the NFL? What do you expect from them this year? I think the answer is we don't know. They have both shown glimpses that they can be terrific, but they've also been very much up and down during their time here in Tennessee. So what do you expect when the season begins? Tajay Sharp, the rookie out of UMass, has been very good to this point of the offseason and now pretty good through the first 3 days of training camp. But he's a rookie. Can he keep it up and continue to do that when the lights truly come on? Harry Douglas, where's he at in his career? That to me is why this Andre Johnson signing is big, because I think you know that he at the very least can be a third or fourth receiver that helps you out. And if he doesn't, you can walk away from it and cut him. And I think at this point, if you're doing that, if you're walking away from Andre Johnson at the end of training camp and cutting him, that means that those other guys have completely stepped up. And you feel much, much more confident about who they are and what they can be in your offense than you did when you signed Johnson just a few days ago. Either way, that's positive progress for this Titans offense, who's trying to surround Marcus Mariota with as many weapons as he can handle. You hope that backfield's set up with Murray and Henry now, and you want to get him some other weapons other than Delaney Walker in the passing game. 737-7767 is the number. What's your take on the Andre Johnson signing? How this receiver core is going to do with him now, and training camp thus far. We want to hear from you tonight. Get your guys' opinions tonight on the show. We will also get to John's and my keys and storylines to the 2016 training camp. We did those last night on the Electric Power Company's Sunday Sports Central. We'll hear from some of the guys from after today's practice as well. But let's begin tonight with your phone calls. Let's go to line one and James. James, good evening. You're first up here tonight.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Doing well, man.
Hey, I was at the camp Saturday, and you was right in front of me. I was a rope man right behind you. Every time somebody would come through, I'd have to lift the rope for them. But, hey, I got a question. I looked at Chance Warmack as his coming off the practice field Saturday, man. And, you know, through the media, I guess, and online and stuff, but they said he had a six-pack. I seen a video where he said he had a six-pack. He had no six-pack. He got a kid.
Yeah, I haven't seen him say that, but he definitely doesn't have a six-pack unless he's talking about he picked one up at the grocery store and stuffed it under his shirt, because it's definitely not firm down there, but that's okay. He's an offensive lineman, and he's tough to push around, and that's what they need from him. They need him to be a mauler in the run game as they try to become a more physical smash-mouth team.
Yeah, he looked to me like he was a little bit out of shape. I mean, you know, from my experience of seeing football player, he just looked like he's a little bit out of shape right now. But I know it's his first day of camp, and everything. But I tell you, guys that stood out to me, that two guys that I like, that I've seen a lot of, I was watching practice, was Kendall Wright and Alex Tammy. Seemed like he made some good, crisp, nice throws, targeted. Seemed like he handled the huddle pretty good. I like Alex Tammy as our second quarterback over Matt Castle. I mean, but his footwork is a lot more like Marcus than Castle. He kind of seems to pick up his feet a little bit higher than them other two boys. I like Kendall Wright, and from what I've seen Saturday, and I like Matt Castle. I mean, not Matt Castle, but Alex Tammy. But we'll holler at you later, buddy. We'll talk to you. All
right, James, we appreciate that. Titans need Kendall Wright to be Kendall Wright. He was a guy that kept progressing, and you felt pretty good about that pick. Obviously, they spent a first-round draft pick on him in 2012, and you felt like he was getting close to becoming a number one type of receiver. But here's the thing. He's a slot guy. He's never going to be an outside great threat in the NFL, and I think they've realized that. You don't have to create him into that. He can be an unguardable slot guy at times, and I think you're going to see more and more of that. And so far this camp, he's been good. On Saturday, he was terrific in that first practice. He probably made the play of camp so far with a one-handed catch down the middle of the field. That's the type of stuff that you need to see more out of Kendall Wright. And these other wide receivers, frankly. They need guys who are going to make plays for Marcus Mariota. Last year, if it wasn't in their hands in a perfect spot, they probably weren't catching it. And that's what you hope that these guys can step up and do this year. And as far as Alex Tanney goes, I will tell you this. The Titans like Alex Tanney a lot. He's a guy that comes from Monmouth. He's a small school guy. He was best known for the trick shot video that he had coming out of college and into the pro ranks, but he's now been around for a couple of years. He understands the offense and what they're trying to do, and he's been a very, very good practice player for him. I don't think he's going to beat out Matt Castle. I think they like Castle, and I think they especially like the fact that Castle's been around a long time. He's seen everything in the NFL through several different organizations, and I think they believe having that veteran presence in the locker room and in the meeting room with Marcus Mariota is going to be really valuable. I think that's another thing that gets lost a little bit about last year is for a big part of the season, it was Marcus Mariota and Zach Mettenberger. They're practically the same age. And at that point, Mariota pretty much had more experience than Mettenberger did. It was hard for him to glean anything off of Mettenberger at that point. I think with Castle, you get a guy that can help instruct him in the quarterback room, that can say, I've been in this position before, or watch out for this, and be positive reinforcement for Jason Michael and Terry Robisky, the offensive coordinator, and what they're trying to do with Mariota. That's a big reason why I think Castle's going to be here. And he's also used to coming in a pinch, preparing like he's a starting quarterback and coming in when he has to. He obviously had the great season in New England when Tom Brady went down. I think the Titans like Tanney a lot, though. The problem they're going to have is I don't think you can keep three quarterbacks with this situation. You're praying that Mariota is your guy, and then you've got Castle behind him. I don't think you keep a third quarterback. And so if that's the case, what does Tanney do in the preseason? Can you get him back on your practice squad? I'm sure they would love for that to be the case. We'll see if that does indeed happen here towards the end of the month. Back to the phones now, and David. David, good evening.
Hello?
Yeah, David, you're on the air.
Okay, yeah. I was there on Saturday, and they looked at all right, the little practice that they had. But I just wanted to say that I think they're going to be explosive on offense. I just think he has a lot of weapons, the Rail Beckham, Andre Johnson, Tajay Sharp, and the two running backs. If they get this thing together over there on their side of the ball, they're going to put up some points. That's all I have to say.
All right, and that obviously would be music to a lot of Titans fans' ears and eyes if they see this team put up a bunch of points this year. The two question marks to me that still stand out: the offensive line, which had a rough day today. Can they gel together? You've got three new players there, and at times, veterans, and the veterans on this line, at least the veterans that have been around in Tennessee, are Lewan and Warmack, that sometimes struggle, that sometimes have brain cramps, frankly, up front. We saw that a couple of times today. Can those guys all collectively put it together and this offensive line gel to protect Mariota and open up holes for this running game that is now supposed to be such a key component to this offense? And then the second question to me is the wide receivers. You mentioned a bunch of them there, but the guys you all mentioned, to me, there's some question marks there. Dorial Green-Beckham showed signs last year in what, 2 or 3 games? Where was he in the other 13? Some of that's on game plan. Some of that's on a rookie growing up. But can they count on him to be a consistent threat in the NFL week in and week out? I don't think we have the answer to that yet. Tajay Sharp has been really good in practice. What will he be like in the games? Andre Johnson's obviously been here for 3 days. They need that group, and it doesn't have to necessarily be all of them, but they need more people to step up. I mean, think about this. We talk about Andre Johnson last year in Indianapolis. He had, I think, 41 catches for the season. That's a career low for him. That would have led all Titans wide receivers last year. Think about that. You're talking about a guy, a very good receiver, but at the worst year of his career, it would have led this team in wide receiver receptions. Now, Delanie Walker had 94 catches last year. That was terrific. It led all tight ends in the NFL. He's a great weapon, a Pro Bowler, potentially an all-pro guy in this league. But you don't want your tight end catching the ball 94 times. You just don't. It's too much focus on him. It's asking him to do too much. You ideally want that to be 75, probably, for a guy of Walker's caliber. But in order to do that, you desperately need these wide receivers to step up. Kendall Wright had 36 catches last year. He needs to get 60 or 70. Rashard Matthews needs to be a 50-catch guy for this team, maybe more. And you need to find another guy, whether it's Andre Johnson or one of these young guys, to elevate their game and be in the 40 or 50-catch range. This group has been challenged by Mike Mularkey, and it's now time for some of them and the collective group to step up and do their jobs. All right, phone lines are open, and we have a wide open bank here for you. So if you want to get in, you can do that on the other side of this break. 737-7767 is the number. Stay tuned. More of your phone calls and more on Titans training camp when SportsLine continues.